Hi, I'm Paul. We're doing ACT mathematics practice test. 60 questions. Directions: do not spend too much time on any one problem. Solve as many as possible. Mark the ones you want to come back to, and then come back to the ones that you have skipped. You are allowed to use a calculator on this section, but several of the problems are best completed without a calculator. Unless stated otherwise, assume that drawings are not necessarily to scale. Geometric figures are in a two-dimensional plane. Lines are straight lines, and average means the arithmetic mean. Okay. Good thing to know for ACT math. Let's see. Use a calculator. Yes. But unlike the SAT, the ACT will not give you all the common formulas for area, volume, etc. They're not going to give you, well, I mean, maybe for individual problems they'll give you something, but they won't give you, like, the SAT will give you equations for the volume of a cylinder, pyramid, things like that. ACT won't. So you need to know those. All right, let's start. What is the difference between the first polynomial and the second polynomial? All right. So we have 4x cubed. We're going to we have this, and we're going to subtract this. Now there's no x cubed term in the second polynomial, so the answer is going to have this 4x cubed. So that means we can eliminate d, we can eliminate e. We have a 2x squared term in the second polynomial. We have no x squared term in the first polynomial. So if we subtract them, we're going to have a negative 2x squared in the answer. And the only answer that has that is C. So let's go ahead and select that. Okay. In this pro league, in the pro league, a 4-quarter football game has 15-minute quarters. A given game currently has 7.5 minutes, which is half of a quarter remaining in the third quarter. What fraction of the game is left to play, assuming that there's no overtime periods? Okay. So the game is split into quarters, but we've also got a situation here where 1 quarter is split in half. So it's probably better to think about this in terms of eighths. So we have half of the third quarter, which is 1/8. We have the entire fourth quarter, which is 2/8. So what fraction is left to play? That would be 3/8. What is the equation of a line with points 2, 1, and 1, 2? All right, so probably a good thing to do at first is to compute the slope of the line, which is rise over run. Rise would be, let's say y1 minus y2, negative 1 over run, which is 2 minus 1, which is 1. So that's the slope, negative 1. Now, so we're going to have the equation is going to be y equals negative x, the slope, some constant. So we are down to we're down to C and E. Probably the easiest way to do this is just to plug in a point to one of those equations and see what happens. But why don't we just do if you have a point and a slope, then you can get an equation. The equation for a point slope is y minus y1, which in this case, let's use this point. Y minus 1 equals negative 1 x minus x1, which is 2. All right? Y minus 1 equals negative x plus 2. And then if we add 1 to both sides, we'll get y equals negative x plus 3. So that is, this is not, I guess I have to exit the drawing before I select it, but it's going to be, that's going to be E. Consider the following set of numbers. Which of the following is the greatest? The mode. Okay, so that's the number that occurs the most. That would be 5. The median. The median is the number in the middle. So we have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? We have 11? Yeah, so actually the median would also be 5. I'm sorry, the median would also be 5. And the mean, which is the average. Now, the thing is, having, larger numbers here, and especially this number, 358, you really don't have to calculate the mean to see that the mean is going to be skewed by at least one very large number. So the mean is going to be much higher than 5. Okay, so let's pick which is the mean. All right. A shirt normally costs $40 at a department store. A store is having a sale of 30% off the normal price. If the state where the store is has a sales tax rate of 7%, how much sales tax in dollars will a customer pay? They purchase one shirt at the discounted rate. So it can normally cost $40 and it's 30% off. All right, so 10% of $40 is $4. 30% of $40 is $12. So 40 minus 12, we've got 28. 28, and we would like to multiply that times 0.07. Which is the sales tax rate. Now, let me see if I can flip over here quickly. I can't. I thought I could flip to the. It's not going to let me do that. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, I think it will let me flip it, but just not while I have the drawing mode on. So let's see, what is 28 times 0.07? Is $1.96. Oh, that is one of the possible answers, and it is. Okay. Total cost in dollars of n widgets is given by the expression C of n equals 2n plus 4. A salesperson takes the widgets and sells them for $6 each. What expression gives the profit the salesperson will make for n widgets? All right, so if you sell n widgets, for $6, then your revenue is 6n, but with the profit you have to subtract the cost, and the cost is 2n plus 4. All right, so 6n minus 2n, 4n minus 4. So you would make 4n minus 4 on your sale at $6 a piece. In the figure below that has an angle of 40 degrees as marked, what is the sum of angles x and y? Okay, well, it looks like an isosceles triangle. And so it looks like you know, this angle and this angle are equal, but it's probably better not to assume that. But whatever those are, because the sum of the angles in a triangle has to sum to 180, the sum of those angles is 140. Okay, now these angles here, because this is you know, we've got supplementary angles, so this angle and x will equal 180. This angle plus y will equal 180. So the total there is 360. All right, 360. Now the question is, what is the sum of x and y? Well, we can subtract the sum of these two angles, which we know to be 140, and get 220. Okay, there it is, 220. If 1 cup of water is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, another cup of water is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and 2 cups of water are 40 degrees Fahrenheit, what will the temperature be of the water if the water in all 3 containers is thoroughly mixed in a new container, assuming that no heat is lost or gained? Okay. Well, we will just have to take the average of them. So we have 1 cup at 70, we have 1 cup at 80, and we have 2 at 40. So what we have there as a total is 70 plus 80 plus another 80, which is 160 plus 70 is 230, and divide it by 4. Now 230 divided by 4, I would rather do this with a calculator if possible. 230 divided by 4, whoa, come on. 230 divided by 4 is 57.5. All right, let's flip back and select 57.5. If x represents the mean of a set of n real numbers, what would represent the sum of the numbers? Well, let's do it like this. So the sum, so x is the mean. All right, so to get the mean x, we would take the sum and divide it by the number of integers, n. The question is, what would represent the sum? Well, we could cross multiply this effectively as x over 1, and we would get that the sum equals x times n, which is answer C. If the least common multiple of 6 and 8 is multiplied by the greatest common factor of 9 and 12, what is the resulting number? Least common multiple of 6 and 8 is going to be what? 12, 18, 24, yes. So that would be 24. Greatest common factor of 9 and 12. Greatest common factor, 9 doesn't have a lot of factors, so the greatest common factor there is 3. Now, if we multiply those together, 24 times 3, we're going to get 72, which is answer C. In the drawing, the numbers show how many elements are in each part or grouping of sets A, B, and C. Exactly how many elements of set A and C are shared. All right. Well, the overlap of A and C is this right here. All right, those are all of the elements that are in both A and C. So the total is going to be 10. Answer D. A two-sided coin flip is used at the beginning of a game and also at the beginning of each overtime period after a game to determine which team wins possession of the ball, and at no other point during the game. If a game has 2 overtime periods, what is the probability that a team will lose all of the coin flips? Okay, so we've got a coin flip at the beginning of the game. We have 2 overtime periods, so that's 3 coin flips. The odds of winning or losing a coin flip is 1, where is it? Okay, 1/2. So we're going to lose the first coin flip, we're going to lose the second coin flip, and we're going to lose the third coin flip. So the odds of losing every coin flip is 1/8, which is answer B. A circle with which of the following radii? Well, which of the following radii? A circle with which of the following? Okay, we'll have a circumference and area of the same numerical value. All right, so what they're asking is, let's see, circumference. Circumference is 2 pi r. And the area is pi r squared. All right. So we want those to be equal. All right. So we can cancel a pi out of both sides here and say, for what value of r is 2r equal to r squared? And the answer to that is 2, which is answer B. Questions 14 to 16 refer to the following table in the President's Dormitory Building at Humanities Liberal Arts College. The number of students enrolled in a given major are as follows, with 111 total males, 143 total females, no double majors. What is the percentage of male physics majors out of all the people in the dormitory? How many male physics majors are there? That would be this number right here, 14. And to get a percentage of the total, we need to add 111, 143, that would be 254, 2, 5, 4, 14 divided by 254. All right, remember that. 14 divided by 254, 14 divided by 254, 14 divided by 254 is it's about 5.5. About 5.5%. All right, there it is. All right, next question. If someone from the group of history majors were selected at random, what would be the probability that that person would be a female? History majors is right here. So we have 90 history majors, of which 50 are female. So the answer is, the probability would be 50 over 90. They've given us convenient answers here. We'll just cancel the zeros, and it would be 5 over 9, which is answer D. Where's show answer? Okay. If all the students in the dorm were placed in a circle graph by type of major and ignoring gender, what would be the percentage of the circle formed by the English majors to the nearest whole number? It's kind of an odd way of saying that. Well, all right, so again, we've got 111 males. We have 143 females. We're going to put everybody in a circle. It's 254. 2, 5, 4. And how many English majors do we have? 45. All right. So that is the answer, 45 of over 254. I think we'll just plug it in the calculator. 45 divided by 254. 45, well, actually we already got 14 there. Let's do 45 divided by 254 to the nearest whole number. Well, it's 17.7, so the nearest whole number is 18. Let's go with that. What is the area in square units of triangle ABC inscribed in the rectangle below? All right, ABC. Wait, where's my pen? What's happened there? Turn the drawing off for a second, because what I want to do here is just draw a line. Okay, here we go. A, B, C. Actually, I drew A, C, B, but that's it. Okay. Area of a triangle: 1/2 base times height. The height of this triangle is 3. The base, which would be AB, well, this length right here, so AD, it does say this is a rectangle, so we're entitled to assume that AD, the length of AD is equal to 5. BD is equal to 2, so AB is equal to 3. So the base is also 3. So we have 1/2 base is 3, and height is 3. 9 over 2 is 4.5. That's answer C. One-fourth plus 3/10 plus 1/8 equals. All right. Well, we need a common denominator. What we have for denominators are 4, 10, 8, I'm thinking the lowest common denominator there is 40, but we can reduce it if it isn't. So let's convert these into the following. My pen back. We'll say 10 over 40. I'm not going to write the 40 every time. Well, you know what? I guess I will. 10 over 40 plus 3 over 10 would be 12 over 40. And 1/8 would be 5 over 40. So the total there is 10 plus 12 plus 5, 22, 27 over 40. Actually, that's one of the answers, so we don't have to reduce anything. So E, 27 over 40 would be the answer. For x squared minus 20x plus 25 equals. All right. Yeah, I mean, okay. Let's just. There's a couple ways to do this. We could factor this. We could try and plug in every answer and hope that it's not E. I guess maybe just factoring it. Let's try factoring it. The most obvious way of factoring it is, let's see, my pen, would be to put like 2x on both sides here. 2x, 2x. Now we have 4x squared. We need to get a minus 20x and a plus 25. So we have minus 10x minus another 10x plus 25. So the answer would be B. Right? 4x squared minus 10x plus 25. B. A grocery sells hot dog buns in packages by the dozen and hot dogs 8 to a package. What is the minimum total number of packages of hot dogs and hot dog buns, i.e. not counting the number of hot dog buns or hot dogs separately? Okay, the number of packages. What is the minimum total number of packages that Walker will need to purchase in order to have the exact same number of hot dogs and hot dog buns? Okay, so we have to find a common multiple of 12 and 8, which is pretty easy. Would be 24. So that means we need 2 packages of the hot dog buns. We need 3 packages of the hot dogs for a total of 5 packages. That's answer C. Andrew is able to put exactly 1 cubic foot of snow in his shovel. If the snow on the driveway with the following dimensions is a uniform thickness of 6 inches, how many shovelfuls of snow will Andrew have to pick up in order to remove all the snow? Assume that Andrew is perfectly efficient in his shoveling. All right, so he can pick up 1 cubic foot of snow. So really the question is, how many cubic feet of snow are on the driveway? A driveway of that dimension, if it's on there at a uniform thickness of 6 inches, and it's better to think of that really in terms of like being half a foot. So we've got the dimensions are 20 times 15. 20 feet times 15 feet is 300, is the area of the driveway. The thickness of the snow is half a foot. So for cubic feet, we're going to go down to 150. And if Andrew is shoveling 1 cubic foot at a time, he's going to need 150. 100, is that the question? Yeah, 150 shovelfuls of snow. Answer C. Whoops. Oh, I forgot to show the answer. Okay. When Caitlin measures a piece of wood, she's accurate to the nearest tenth of an inch. If she measures 8 pieces of wood that will be put together for a total length of what Caitlin wants to be 60 inches. Okay, 8 pieces of wood. Let's see. She is accurate to tenth of an inch. She's got 8 pieces of wood. And she wants it to be 60 inches. What expression represents the range of possible values that her total pieces will be altogether in inches? Well, I'm thinking, first of all, as I look at this, I don't like these answers with 30 and 20 because I don't see 30 or 20 anywhere in the problem. Absolute value of x is greater than 0.4. No, I mean, x is going to be a much, well, or the range of possible values. No, that's not the range of possible values. X is going to be much bigger than 0.4. So she is going to be within 0.8 inches of 60. She's got 8 pieces of wood. She may be off by a tenth of an inch. The most she could be off is 0.8, either 0.8 too high or 0.8 too low. But it's going to be somewhere in that range. So she puts all the pieces together, subtracts 60, take the absolute value, and yeah, that is going to be less than or equal to 0.8. So the answer here has got to be A. If line M is parallel to line N and has an equation of 6x equals 3y, what is the slope of line M? Okay, slope of line M. Well, the standard equation of a line is y equals mx plus, this pen is a little bit slow, b, where m is the slope. Now we have an equation of 6x equals 3y. Why don't we rewrite that as 3y equals 6x, and then divide both sides by 3. So we'll have y equals 6/3 x, which is 2x. So that is the slope of line M. Oh, did I mention that parallel lines have the same slope? So, okay, what we're looking for is, this is the slope of N, so what's the slope of M? It's going to be the same. It's going to be 2. Mrs. Snyder has 40 girls in her yearbook club, and the she has 40 girls in the yearbook club, and the girls represent 40% of the club members. All right, let's make some notes here. She has 40 girls, and the girls represent 40% of the club. Now, Mrs. Snyder has 20% of the total student body in the club. All right, so let's build this up here. If she's got 40 girls in the club, and the girls represent 40% of the club, how many people are in the club? Well, that would be 100. 100 people in the yearbook club. Now, that represents 20% of the total student body, which is the question. How many students in the total student body? If this is 20% or 1/5 of the total student body, then the total student body would be 500. That's answer E. Soldiers instructed to make a salute at a 45-degree angle. If we were to superimpose a coordinate graph over the soldier's arm with his elbow at the origin and the hand in the first quadrant, what would be the slope made by the soldier's arm? All right, 45-degree salute. Let's do, you know what, I just feel like I can make better lines than that. I just got to get the red color. Okay, let's do this. All right, there's one, there's two. All right, so the elbow is at the origin. The arm is coming out at a 45-degree angle, which is approximately like that. Now, at a 45-degree angle, what are some points on this line? I mean, it would be like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So the slope of that line is 1. And that is answer C. Top and bottom sides or bases of a particular trapezoid have an average length of 12. The height is 5. What is the area of the trapezoid? Well, the formula for the area of a trapezoid is the average of the bases. So normally we would add the length of the bottom base and the top base, divide by 2, but they've already done that for us. The average length is 12, and then you multiply times the height, which is 5. So 12 times 5 is 60. What is the set of all of the real values of n that satisfy the equation x to the 4th raised to the power of 9 minus n squared equals 1? All right. So if you're going to raise, we don't know what x is. X could be anything. So in order to raise it to a power and get 1, that power has to be 0. That means that n squared has to be equal to 9. Now, you could square 3 and get 9. You could square negative 3 and get 9. So the only answer that works here is this one, A, positive or negative 3. What is the distance from one corner of a rectangular 3x5 index card to the farthest corner opposite it? Let's try and draw a 3x5 index card. Okay. Oh, so I gotta lift the pen. All right. Good. And then let's draw this in. All right, 3 by 5. So this is 3. Wow, what a 3. Hold on. This is 3. This is 5. Now we can use a Pythagorean theorem here. This is because, this is a rectangle, so that's a right angle. We want to know what is the distance from here to here. And that would be square root of 3 squared plus 5 squared, which is the square root of 9 plus 25, which is the square root of 34. That's actually an answer here, so let's go with D. A pyramid is inscribed in a cube, okay, with a height, okay, hold on, let me make some notes here. Pyramid is inscribed inside a cube, all right? So we've got a pyramid, it's in a cube. The side is length 7, cube. Formula, oh, they gave us the formula. Volume of a pyramid is this. B is the base, H is the height, the area of the base. B is the area of the base, H is the height. What is the fraction of the volume of the cube? Oh, what fraction of the volume of the cube is the volume of the pyramid? All right, so keeping in mind that B represents the area of the base, not the length of a side. The length of a side is 7, but that really doesn't make any difference. If B is the area of the base, then the area, or I'm sorry, the volume of the cube would be B times H. The area of the base times the height. The volume of the pyramid is 1/3 B times H. So that makes it a pretty easy question. What fraction of the volume is of the volume of the cube is the volume of the pyramid? Well, if the volume of the cube is B times H and the volume of the pyramid is 1/3 B times H, then the fraction would be 1/3, which is D. All right, so a whale is capable of staying submerged in the water for up to 20 minutes. In one day, how many times will a whale come up for air? Assuming the whale stays submerged as long as possible at every interval, and that the whale's first breath is right at the start of the day and the last breath is right at the end of the day. First and last breaths are included in the count. Okay, so I think we're going to assume that taking a breath takes no time at all. The first breath is included, all right? So let's do this. How many hours in a day? We have 24 hours in a day, and the whale is going to take a breath right at the start of the day, and we're going to count that. So for the first hour, for every hour, if the whale is coming up every 20 minutes, breath every 20 minutes, then there's going to be a breath at 0 and 20 and 40 for every hour. Okay, 0, 20, and 40. So that's 24 times 3 equals 72. However, the last breath is right at the end of the day, and it says we're going to count that. All right. that's not included in the count of 72 because the last hour we just counted 0, 20, and 40. Now, if we're going to give the whale credit for that last breath right at the end of the day, that is an additional breath. And so we're going to have to go one more and say 73, which is answer E. Okay. What is the ratio of side B to side A in the triangle below? Okay. Let's remember this. So, ka, toa, C, A, H, T, O, A. What do we have here? We have the, here's the angle. So we have the opposite and the hypotenuse. So what we want is the sine. What is the sine of a 45-degree angle? Well, if you've taken trigonometry, you know this. It's the square root of 2 over 2. Now that's the ratio of A to B, but it's asking what is the ratio of B to A. So that would be 2 over the square root of 2. Okay. Now, is that one of the answers? I should have scrolled this up so I could see it. Can we convert this to one of the answers? What if... Yeah, I mean, of the answers I can see, if we took this number and multiplied the top and bottom by the square root of 2, what would we have? We would have 2 times the square root of 2 over 2. The 2's would cancel, and we would have the square root of 2 over 1, which is answer B. All right. What is the equation for a circle that is tangent to both the x and y axis, is in the first quadrant, and has a radius of 8? All right, let me see if I can draw and talk at the same time. We'll draw a set of axes here, x, y. And this is the first quadrant. The top right quadrant is the first quadrant. I'm going to try to draw a circle here. Now it says this is tangent to both the x and y axis, which, you know, it kind of is if you make allowances for my drawing. It has a radius of 8. So here's the center. That means that this, you know, from the center to the y-axis is going to be 8. The center to the x-axis is going to be 8. So the center of the circle is at 8, 8. The equation for a circle is x minus the x-coordinate at the center plus y minus the y-coordinate, x minus the x-coordinate of the center, that quantity squared, plus y minus the y-coordinate of the center, that quantity squared equals the square of the radius. So that's what we have here. X minus 8 squared, y minus 8 squared, and 8 squared, 64. So the answer is going to be B. Expression 6x minus 3x squared over 12x cubed is equivalent to which of the following? All right, so we can do some simplification on this. 3 is going to be a common factor in all of these. So if we cancel out a 3, what we're going to get is what? Oops, need a pen. We are going to get, come on, okay, 2x. And then we take the 3 out, minus x squared over 4x cubed. 4x cubed. All right, we've got another common factor here, and that is the x. So if we cancel out an x, the x is going to be gone here. The squared is going to be gone here. We're going to have 2 minus x over 4x squared. 2 minus x over 4x squared. So that is the answer A. If there's a 30% chance of snowfall on Monday and a 40% chance of snowfall on Tuesday, what is the percent chance that it will snow on both days? All right, so if you want to know the probability that two independent events will both occur, you just multiply the probabilities. So it's 0.3 times 0.4, which is 0.12. It's like 3 times 4 is 12, 0.12. So it's going to be a 12% chance. If a survey is selected at random from this set of club president votes, what is the probability that the vote will be for Stein? We have Smith, Jackson, Jones, and Stein. If a survey is selected at random, that's kind of an odd phrasing. I guess they just mean if you pick a vote at random. Well, so we got to know how many votes there are, first of all. So there's 10 for Smith, plus 12 for Jackson, 22, plus 16 is 38, plus 14 is 52. 52 total votes. Okay, 52. The speed of the pen is getting worse as I go along here. And what is the probability that it will be for Stein? So Stein had 14 votes, so it's 14 over 52. Now we can reduce that a little bit to 7 over 26. And let's take a look at the answers. Okay, there it is right there. 7 over 26. If x minus 4 squared equals 5, then what is x? Okay, let me think. What's the best way to show this here? X minus 4. Well, okay. X minus 4 squared equals 5. So x minus 4, x minus 4 equals square root of 5. But really, it equals, plus or minus square root of 5. All right. So what can we put in here for x? Well, actually, we could just simplify it like this and say x equals, we'll just add 4 to each side. X equals 4 plus or minus the minus the square root of 5. Which is answer D. Does that make sense? Let's see. I mean, we take the square root of both sides. We get x minus 4 equals the square root of 5. But, really, yeah, the square root of 5 is, the square root of 5 is the square root of 5. But in this case, we have to consider that that x minus 4 I'm kind of messing up this explanation. X minus 4 has to be equal to plus or minus the square root of 5, because that way when we square both sides we get 5. We can then move the 4 over to the right side of the equation. X equals 4 plus or minus square root of 5, and the answer is D. All right, Bryson leaves his house, walks to, actually, let me see if I can write and draw here at the same time. Bryson leaves his house. He walks 2 miles directly north. He takes a right turn. He walks 1.5 miles to the east. Now he's at the shopping mall. Now, if he were to walk the shortest possible distance back to his house, which would be the shortest distance between 2 points, is a straight line. What approximate angle measure? Okay, angle measure. So let's do this. This is 2. This is 1.5. Now, the angle measure. Okay, so we're going to consider 0 degrees being directly west. So this is 0 degrees if he's proceeding in this direction. And 90 degrees being directly south. So we should get some number between 0 and 90 for this angle. What is that angle? All right, what do we have? We have 2 measurements relative to that angle. We have the opposite and we have the adjacent. So again, the SO, CA, TOA, the tangent is opposite over adjacent, which is 2 over 1.5. So we can get that tangent, and then we take the arctangent and get the measure of the angle. All right, 2 over 1.5. See if I can remember that while I flip over to the calculator. All right. Functions, there's the arctangent, and we'll do 2 divided by 1.5. And 92. Doesn't look right at all. Let me check something. Are we in degrees here? Oh, it's on radians. Okay, so let's change it to degrees. Okay, that looks better. So it's about 53 degrees. 53 degrees. All right. Yeah, let's try that. What approximate angle measure? Yeah, it's approximately 53 degrees. Okay. A tsunami, a massive wave caused by an earthquake, goes out from a central point in a clear ocean an equal distance in all directions. It moves in one direction at a speed of 200 miles per hour. What is the ratio of this area, of the area covered by this tsunami in 7 minutes time over, okay, what is the ratio of the area covered in 7 minutes time over the area covered after only 1 minute has elapsed from the beginning of the tsunami? It's going in an equal distance in all directions. So I assume that means it's going out as a circle. 200 miles an hour. Do tsunamis go in circles? But yeah, it just doesn't make sense any other way. It's going an equal distance in all directions. All right. So the area covered by the tsunami is going to be, after an hour, the area is pi r squared. And it doesn't really matter what the radius is, but pi r squared, after 7 hours, the radius is going to be 7 times what it was after, oh, I'm sorry, 1 minute. After 7 minutes, the area is, or the radius will be 7 times greater than what it would be after 1 minute. And since we're squaring the radius to get the area, it would be 49 times greater. Oh, I didn't check the answer. Okay. On the XYZ coordinate planes below, what would the distance be between coordinates 0, 8, 4 and 0, 2, 6? Okay, well, the x-coordinate is 0 in both cases, so it really takes the x-coordinate out of play. So now we're back to a 2D coordinate plane, and we can just use a distance formula, which is x2 minus x1 squared, say 2 minus 8 squared, negative 6, that's 36, I forgot the pen, 36, here it comes, 36, and then we'll do, well, actually that's y, the y coordinate, 2 minus 8, and then the z coordinate, 6 minus 4 is 2 squared, we'll add that, and we'll get 40, and then we'll take, 36 plus 4 is 40. We'll take the square root of the whole thing. And what is the square root of 40? Square root of 40 would be 2 times the square root of 10. All right, let's see what we've got here. 2 times the square root of 10. A ziff is always a zanu. A zanu is never a yurt. A yurt is always a what's it. Which of the following must be true? Okay. Probably Venn diagrams will help us here. First of all, a ziff is always a zanu. So get the pen. Ziff, it's actually, it would look better in different colors, I guess, but it's slow enough already. So we'll say a ZIF is always a ZANU. Right? So this is a ZIF. This is a ZANU. Right? A ZANU is never a yurt. So those have to be distinct. All right, so we'll put the yurt over here. Not thrilled with that circle, but okay. And a yurt is always a what's-it. All right, so now we can draw a what's-it anywhere we want. We can draw it around here. We can draw it so it doesn't hit any of those, but which of the following must be true? A what's-it is not a yurt. That is not true because the what's-it is going to encompass the yurts. So that's not true. A ZANU is a wait a minute. A what's-it is not a yurt. Does that have to be true? No. A ZANU is a ZIF. Does that have to be true? No, because we have, this area out here where we have ZANUs that are not ZIFs. A ZIF is not a yurt. Well, a ZIF is definitely not a yurt. Those are not going to move. We're still flexible on what's it, but a ZIF here is definitely not a yurt, which is over here. So we're going to go with C. Show answer. Okay, in the xy coordinate plane, which of the following points would create a slope with the point 8, 4 that would have an undefined slope? So vertical lines have an undefined slope. So really all we need here is a line. We need another point that has the same x coordinate as 8, 4. So we need a point like right here with, so that's going to form a vertical line, 8, 4 and 8, 7, and that has an undefined slope. In the graph below, lines A, B, and C, D are parallel. Line EF transverses these lines at points E and F. Which of the following can we not state about the graphs? Not. There are four angles made by the lines that are congruent. 4 angles. Well, I mean, there would actually be more than 4, wouldn't there, that are congruent? Do they mean exactly 4? Because all of the vertical angles are congruent. So we've got 2 here, we've got 2 here, we've got 2 here, we've got 2 here. There are 2 angles made that are congruent. Again, I'm going to assume that means, doesn't mean exactly 2. And let's go on and look at the rest of these. Angle FEB is congruent to AEF. So FEB is here. Whoops, I don't want to move the whole thing. FEB is here. AEF is here. Those are supplementary angles. They're not congruent angles. So we cannot say that FEB is congruent to AEF. All right, let's see, what are the coordinates of the vertex of the parabola with the equation y equals x squared minus 7x plus 11 that is drawn below? Okay, the way I would do this first is, because it's drawn in here, and it seems like, I mean, this is the vertex right here, is the lowest point. It looks like we can just get it right out of the graph. I mean, we could try to get it out of the equation, but I think what I would start with first is just trying to get it out of the graph, plug it into the equation, and see if it works. So it looks like the vertex is 3, 2, right? So now what if we plug that into the equation and we get x squared, which is 9, minus 18, which is negative 9, plus 11, which is 2, and that tells us that y should equal 2, which it does. So, yeah, let's go with 3, 2 as the vertex. What did I just do? Oh, there it is. There's the answer. In the following equation, which of the following numbers, if used for x, will result in the expression being undefined? Okay, well, that's pretty easy. You can't divide by 0, so you know x can't be 3. In a game of Duck, Duck, Goose, I hope knowing the rules of Duck, Duck, Goose is not a requirement because I don't know how to play that. Amy gets up from her seat at point A. She travels clockwise along the path of the circle to her friend who is sitting at point B. There are a total of 12 players sitting along the circle. They are spaced evenly along the circle's path. If Amy begins at a point that is 5 feet from the circle's center, what is the total distance that she will have traveled in feet if she travels from A to B? So, all right, here's the center, and it says Amy is, I'm missing Amy. You know what? Okay, don't do that. Just, why can't I erase that? Okay, first of all, get rid of this. And let's just draw a straight line. All right, good. This is 5. And what we want to know is, what is this distance here? All right. Her friends at point B, there are 12 players. They are spaced evenly. So Amy goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 12, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So she goes 1/3 of the way around the circle. What is the circumference of a circle with a radius of 5? Well, it's 2 pi r, which is 10 pi, which is, all right, so multiply times 10 pi, and she goes 1/3 of the way around a circle with a circumference of 10 pi. And that is 10 pi over 3. Or, another way to say that is just 10/3 pi. Which of the following figures would represent an arithmetic series function? It's an interesting question. Really, none of the shapes to me make sense as an arithmetic series function. This is just a kind of a new sort of question that I hadn't even thought about. But okay, an arithmetic series function. An arithmetic series is it's a sequence of numbers with a common difference. So like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. Now you could think of a line. Well, a line, a line has a constant slope. So you could think of, let's say, the y coordinates of a line. Let's give it a slope of 2. Then the y coordinates of that line as you moved along the x axis from 0 to 1, 2, 3, and so on, the y coordinates would be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. So it's would be an arithmetic series. So it's really the only thing that makes sense. And let's go with line. If 3x plus 1, 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1 equals 12, what is 9x? Okay, so that is this is well, we're going to have a difference of squares here. So the 3x terms, we're going to have 3x times 3x is, of course, 9x squared. The 3x terms are going to cancel out. We're going to have a plus 3x and a minus 3x, and then plus 1 positive 1 times, positive 1 times negative 1. So that's the answer. 9x squared minus 1 equals 12. Add 1 to both sides, and 9x squared is going to be 13. Equilateral triangle has each side equal to 10 inches. A line is drawn parallel to the, well, all right, first of all, let's sketch that. We have an equilateral triangle. It seems like that seems a little bit off, but okay. And then over here, then up here. And that is 10. All right. A line is drawn parallel to the base that is halfway up the altitude. Halfway up. It's probably like right about here. Okay. What's the area of the trapezoid? The trapezoid. All right. Well, one of these sides let's do this. The length is 10. The length of all the sides is 10. Now, the length of this, the line that we drew parallel and halfway up is going to be 5. I got to find a convenient place to put that because I still need to draw the altitude. So let's say that that is 5. All right, let's draw the altitude. Altitude is going to be here. Okay, so actually what we know is that this base here, now the base of, let's see, the area of a trapezoid is the average of the two bases, the top and bottom, times the altitude. Now, this is 5. This is 10. So that is 10 times 5 over 2. All right, so the average of the bases is 7.5. But we need the altitude. All right. Now, this from here to here is 5. Okay. What we have, because it's an equilateral triangle, is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Here, that's 30. We have 60. We have 90. Now, a property of a 30, 60, 90 triangle is that this side will be equal to the short leg. The longer leg will be equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So that altitude is, this altitude is 5 times square root of 3. Okay. So the height of the trapezoid is 5 over the square root of 3. No, 5 times the square root of 3 over 2. Okay, nearest whole unit. Wow. All right. So let's try it. I'm going to write it out here. 5 times the square root of 3 over 2 times 7.5. I'm going to try to remember that long enough to flip over to the calculator. 5.5 times the square root of 3 over 2 times 7.5. All right, I got it. Five times square root of 3. That whole thing divided by 2. Okay, times 7.5. It's like about 32.5. 32.5. All right, let's get back here. 32.5. All right, so the closest thing that we have here is 32. And that's what we're going to go with. What is the tangent of the median angle in a triangle with sides 7, 24, 25? I'm not certain that I know what they mean by a median angle in that context. Actually, I don't want to draw it like that. Let's draw it straight this way, and then it's going to be somewhat smaller here, and then hypotenuse there. All right, so 7, 24, 25. Normally, I think of having to draw another line in a triangle to get a median angle, but I'm going to assume that what they mean by the median angle here is the middle of the three angles, which would be this angle here. All right. So what do we have? This is so the tangent of that angle is SOHCAHTOA, opposite over adjacent. Opposite is 24, and adjacent. All right, I mashed that in there a little bit too close. Adjacent is 7. So 24 over 7, which is answer A. A librarian is using a computer program to enter coding for all of the possible Dewey Decimal numbers for the materials in the library. If each entry has a hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, and hundredths place, and each place value can have a possible value of any digit between 0 and 9 inclusive. So that's 10 digits. How many possible number combinations? Well, how many numbers do we have? We have hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, and hundredths, which is 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. 5 possibilities, 10 possibilities. Each one can be any of 10 numbers, so it's just a permutation. So it's just 10 times, it's 10 to the 5th, which would be, that's actually given as one of the answers. So, yeah, we'll go with E. Morgan goes up an escalator that has its top 20 feet vertically from the bottom. Given that the escalator goes up at a 30-degree angle, what is the straight line distance that Morgan goes diagonally up the escalator? Okay, so we have the angle measure here, 30 degrees. We have this number here, and what we want to know is this number here, the escalator with the arrow. So that would be the opposite over the hypotenuse. So that's the sine. What is the sine of 30 degrees? Well, if you've taken a trig class, then you know what that is. It is 1/2. So the distance, the hypotenuse would be twice the distance of the opposite side. So he's going to go up 40 feet. Wait, I didn't check the answer. 40. Okay. For imaginary numbers, I equals the square root of -1. Right. So what is 3i times 4i squared over negative I? Okay. The pen is so slow. I'm going to just go ahead and write this and then bring it back. All right. So what we can make out of that equation is 3i times 4i squared. Now, I squared, because I is the square root of -1, I squared is -1. So what we have is 3i times 4 times -1 over -I. We multiply out the top there. What we have is -4 times 3i is -12i. We still have -I on the bottom, but we can cancel out the -I. And that is going to give us an answer of 12. Okay. All right, if A and B are midpoints of the two smaller legs of the right triangle XYZ, both of which have length 3 times square root of 2 units, what is the area in square units of the shaded rectangle that is inscribed in the triangle? All right, I'm gonna pause this and write in some lengths, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. It's an isosceles triangle. We're given that because these two sides are equal. They're both 3 times the square root of 2. All right, we are given 3 times the square root of 2, right? Yeah, we are given that. We are given that A and B are midpoints. So if these are midpoints, then the length of a side like this is half of the total length. So the total length is 3 times the square root of 2. This length here is 1.5 times the square root of 2. In a 45-45 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is equal to the square root of 2 times one of the legs. So what that means is this length here from A to B is equal to the square root of 2 times 1.5 times the square root of 2, which is 1.5 times 2, which is 3. Okay. The same thing is true of the bigger 45-45 90 triangle. And that is that if a leg is equal to 3 times the square root of 2, the hypotenuse is equal to that times the square root of 2. 3 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 3 times 2, which is 6. So this total length here, the hypotenuse, is 6. All right, we know that this length here is 3. So that is going to split this side here into 3, a length of 3 in the middle. It's still going to have a remaining length of 3, but it's going to be 1.5 on each side. Okay? Now, this angle here, we already know that that is a 45-degree angle. We know that this is a 90-degree angle. So this little triangle here is also a 45-45 90 triangle, and that tells us that it is an isosceles triangle, and that this length here, this side, is equal to this side. Again, 1.5. So we have a rectangle here with with length 3 and 1.5. So the area 3 times 1.5 is 4.5, which is answer B. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say about that? No, just to quickly review, because this is the hardest problem that we've had here so far. It's just that because this is a 45-45 90 triangle, it allows us to do some calculations without really doing calculations. This is half the length of this side. This is a leg times the square root of 2. This back here is a leg times the square root of 2. The small triangle is a 45-45 90 triangle, and so this 1.5 is the same as the side of the rectangle. And that's it. Should be 4.5. Let's see. Okay. If f of x and g of x are graphed below, what is f of g of 2? Okay, so this is composition of functions. We're not given equations for these, so I guess we have to assume that we can just read the answers from the graphs. So working from the inside out, what is g of 2? Here is g over here. G of 2, it looks like it is 1. So then we come over here and say, well, what is f of 1? Well, f of 1 looks like 0. So I hope 0 is one of the answers. Would the graph of sine x and or the graph of cosine x be an even function? All right, well, an even function is symmetrical with respect to the y-axis. So I've taken the liberty here of drawing a sine function here. And a sine function is not symmetrical with respect to the y-axis. This is a cosine function down here. Now, a cosine function is symmetrical with respect to the y-axis. If we just took the y-axis, and folded this whole thing in half over the y-axis, then yes, this would be symmetrical around the y-axis. So even function, sine is not an even function. Cosine is an even function. So let's go with that. Only cosine is an even function. Consider a triangle ABC in the graph below. Okay. If triangle ABC is reflected about the x-axis and then rotated 180 degrees, what is the resulting figure? Okay. Well, okay, so first of all, what is a reflection? Well, let's look at the answers here first. Okay, so that is one possible answer. That is a possible answer. Actually, this is a good example here. If you reflected this over the x-axis, that just means a mirror image with respect to the x-axis. So if you reflected this triangle over the x-axis, it's actually going to look like answer B. Okay. Now, the rest of the question is, what happens if you rotate it 180 degrees around the origin? And if you rotate it 180 degrees around the origin, it's going to wind up in the fourth quadrant like this. It's not going to look like that, though. If you took this and rotated it 180 degrees, then the hypotenuse is going to be the closest thing to the y-axis. In other words, it's going to look like this. What is E? Isn't E, oh, I guess E is a little bit different than B. Yeah, no, it's going to look like D if you then rotate it. You can just imagine. I mean, if you had it drawn on a sheet of paper, you could take the paper and turn it upside down and see what it looks like, but it's going to go around into the fourth quadrant, and it's going to look like this. Okay, rule of 72 is a formula used to calculate the length of time it will take to double a number at a particular interest rate. It is stated as follows: in wanting to know for any percentage in how many years the capital will be doubled, you bring to mind the rule of 72, which you always divide by the interest, and the result is how many years it will be doubled. In how many years it will be doubled. For example, when the interest rate is 6% per year, I say that one divides 72 by 6, obtaining 12, and in 12 years the capital will be doubled. Use the rule of 72 to estimate how much longer it will take to double $1,000 at an interest rate of 5% versus an interest rate of 9%. All right, 5% versus 9%. Okay, let's go over here, and actually I can move this down. So rule of 72. 72 divided by 5. So we have 14.4 is the what it's going to take to double the money in with at an interest rate of 5. What was the other one? 9. It was 9, right? 9%. Okay. So then we'll do this. We'll do 72. Well, I actually know what 72 divided by 9 is. It's 8. So it's going to take 6.4 years longer at 5%. There it is, 6.4. Okay. Which of the following pairs of matrices with the provided dimensions of their rows and columns? So if we say a matrix is 2 by 3, that means 2 rows, 3 columns, which could be successfully multiplied together, assuming that one is multiplying the left-hand matrix by the right-hand matrix in that order. All right, so if you're going to multiply matrices, the only thing that you need is for the internal dimensions to match. So the internal dimensions are 2 and 3, they don't match. 4 and 3 on B, they don't match. 1 and 6, they don't match. 0 and 0, well, they match, but a matrix can't have a dimension of 0. 4 and 4, that's a match, so we're going to have to go with E. All right, the law of signs. The law of signs is, well, I mean, what they're saying is that the sign of, if you have a triangle, the sign of each angle relative to its opposite side, they're all the same. So that is the sine of A. The ratio of the sine of A to, in this case, 10, is equal to the ratio of the sine of B to X. It's equal to the ratio of the sine of C to Y. Now, if X and Y are sides of equivalent length, CAB is 40, CB is 10. What would be the approximate sum of the sides X and Y? All right, so let's take what we know here, which is that angle A is 40 degrees. X and Y are equal, so that means we've got an isosceles triangle, and so angles B and C would be equal. Some of the angles in a triangle need to be 180 degrees, so each of these angles would be 70 degrees. So then what we have is a sine of A, sine of 40 degrees over 10 would be equal to the sine of 70 degrees over X. And we really only need X because it's given that X and Y are the same. So we're going to need a calculator for this, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's just write it down at first. So what we have is that the sine of 40 degrees over 10 is going to equal the sine of 70 degrees over X. We don't know what X is yet. So let's cross multiply that and say that X times the sine of 40 equals 10 times the sine of 70. All right. Now, if we wanted to solve for X, we would divide both sides by the sine of 40. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll take this out and divide this by the sine of 40. And we get 14.6. So that would be x. X is about 14.6. What is the approximate sum of the sides x and y? Well, so if they're both 14.6, then we add them together and they're going to be about 29.2. Last question. Which of the following would be a factor or factors of 2x squared plus 4x minus 6? All right, so obviously 2 is a factor. We could factor 2 out, just get 2 times x squared plus 2x minus 3. What about the next one, x minus 3? So if we use x minus 3, then in order to get the 2x squared term, we've got to have 2x over here. In order to get the negative 6 term, we have to have a plus 2 over here. How does that work out for us on the x term? Well, we would then have 2x minus 6x, so that's minus 4x, so that doesn't work. X minus 3 doesn't work. What if we use x minus 1? All right, so again, we got to have the 2x over here to get the 2x squared term. We need to have a plus 6 here to get the minus 6 term. And how does that work out for us on the x? We have 6x minus 2x equals plus 4x. So that works out. So x minus 1 works, 2 works, and that is 1 and 3. Okay, that's it. That's the ACT math practice. There were a few tough questions in there. I thought overall it might have been a little bit easier than a real ACT test, but yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.